Hi, I'm Lauren Leahy, and it's my great privilege to join the chorus of voices here to honor Dave's indescribable legacy. I could speak for hours about the mark that Dave left on this community, on this school, on me personally, but I'll narrow my focus to the impact that he had on the mission and the student body at the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau. So some context may be helpful here. I arrived at the Legal Aid Bureau in 2007, shortly after Dave's appointment as the faculty and managing director. Now, as many of you know, the Bureau touts itself as the nation's oldest student-run law firm, and it is. Unlike most other clinical programs, students at the Bureau make a 2-year commitment. They take leadership roles in everything from member recruitment and selection to client intake to budget to general operations. And students take these roles very seriously, as they should. So you can imagine the natural tension between the organization's seasoned clinical instructors and its energetic, passionate, strong-willed, perfectionist, often a little big for their britches students. Predictably, the Bureau's membership welcomed Dave's strong, no-nonsense leadership style with a healthy dose of skepticism. When I was elected president in 2008, my express mission was, make sure Dave doesn't take over the place. And so my tenure began, and I had my hackles up, wondering, how would we find the right balance? Would he respect my role? Would he listen to us? Would he care? Oh, he did, and so much more. Dave was collaborative, he was respectful, and he was really honest. He taught through empowerment, not dictation, wisely leading us to our own aha moments every time. Dave's classes were an open dialogue, a place for safe post-mortem analysis of the cases gone wrong. Our intake and board meetings featured vibrant, healthy debate, and Dave was sometimes gracefully outvoted. It's important to remember that all this development was happening, as you've heard, as the city and therefore the Bureau was undergoing massive change in the midst of the 2008 economic crisis. Neighborhoods at risk of mass foreclosure and eviction, communities suffering from upheaval, disruption, and clients faced with impossible choices at every single turn. But this is where Dave's legacy at the Bureau took incredible root. He pushed us to break through the bureaucracy. He told us to meet people where they were, to provide meaningful, real-time help across our community. He empowered us, he encouraged us, and he enlightened us to fight the good fight, and to do it fast. In so doing, he revived the Bureau's deeply rooted history of proactive, holistic community lawyering. For example, Dave encouraged us to double our efforts in the Attorney for the Day program, and you'll learn more from Sam about how he empowered the Bureau board and students like Nick Hardigan and Dave Haller to start the Foreclosure Task Force and Project No One Leaves. Those experiences taught us more about good lawyering than 100 books in Langdale ever could have. With Dave, we learned to strategize real time, to conduct rapid-fire client interviews, to keep our heads held high and our jaws set in the face of snarky, often condescending, mostly ridiculous opposing counsel. He stood next to me, 5 feet tall and blonde, while I pointed my finger and screamed at some bank attorney, empowering me all the while to never settle for less than what my client deserved. He taught us to craft clever oral arguments in the courtroom halls and to march and sing and stomp when the courtrooms failed us. We learned how all those highfalutin theories that Dave taught us in the classroom overlapped and sometimes conflicted with real life. And we discussed it all when we got home to talk with him at the Bureau. Now, I should mention that all of this happened amidst Dave's initial cancer diagnosis and treatment. He never sought sympathy. He never looked for credit. He took it all in stride and humbly. With his biting wit, his unbelievable grit, Dave always kept his nose to the grindstone, and he expected us to do the very same. All in all, Dave's impact on the Bureau's mission and its student body was transformative, and it was enduring. He changed the organization entirely, and yet in some respects, not at all. Here's what I mean. Yes, he had a dramatic impact on our dialogue, our effectiveness, our direction, and our breadth. He made the organization substantially more analytical, more proactive, and more engaged in our community. But amidst all that incredible change, he left the core of the organization alone. As other clinical programs across the country were changing dramatically over the last 40 years, With churn of students and professor-led management, dwindling opportunities for true student leadership, Dave found a way to balance his passion and his very strong perspective with the Bureau's unique student-led history. He didn't take over the place after all. He inspired us to take it over and revolutionize it for ourselves. That was Dave's magic. If you were a student of Dave's at any point, would you please stand? Thank you. We are just a few of the countless students whose lives are forever changed by Dave. I'm not a full-time public interest lawyer. I work for the kind of big corporate engine that is often subject of criticism at places like the Bureau. But Dave's impact, his constant, humble pursuit to dignify, to uplift his fellow citizens, has left a mark that I bring to work with me every single day. There are hundreds of us across all industries, practice areas, and organizations who hear Dave's words echoing in our ears as we walk into offices all across the world. I found a letter that I wrote to Dave in 2009 as I was graduating, and I figure it's a somewhat authentic and organic way to express how I felt about the time that I got to spend with him. In part, I wrote, "You know, Dave, I learned more from simply watching you work than from anything you ever said to me. You keep your promises. You tell the truth. You listen to others and you take their concerns into account. You lead collaboratively and respectfully. You work hard. You push people to be their highest and best selves. Dave, you are a man of great integrity. As I forge my own path, I will always hold myself to the standard that you've set for me. You will be the measuring stick against which I weigh my choices and my performance for years to come. Dave is and always will be that measuring stick for me and for so many others, and we are forever changed."